Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about TradeStation. All right. So let me get my stuff set up, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll. So today, I'm constantly learning as we're going. I'm constantly learning as we're going. So last week I incorporated multiple time frames, multiple data streams, so you can do the different time frames, but they are listed as like data streams in TradeStation. And like I said before, I was wrong. I thought that it was my understanding that you couldn't reasonably reasonably incorporate multiple time frames into your chart strategies and studies, and that's not true. So it's different from TD Ameritrade ThinkScript, but it is doable, but it doesn't work on multiple time frames. And if I'm not mistaken, Thinkorswim didn't let you do second time frames, 30-second, 45-second, 15-second, 5-second time frames. TradeStation does, which is very cool. But so like I say, with ThinkScript, there weren't many limitations as far as using multiple data streams, multiple time frames. Obviously, the syntax for the coding was different, but it wasn't impossible. And so here with TradeStation, easy language, you can also do multiple data streams, multiple time frames, but there is a limitation as far as my understanding. The limitation is that you can't utilize those, especially like for strategies, on the second time frame. It works on the minute and up time frame. So, and that's okay. Like I said, apples for apples. Didn't lose anything coming from TradeStation, or coming from TD Ameritrade over to TradeStation. Didn't lose anything. But you just have to keep that in mind if you are wanting to trade like the second time frame. And I think also if you're using volume, or if you're using a volume chart or a tick chart, it doesn't work for multiple data stream there. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know there are some limitations there. But I don't use any one of those, so I'm okay for the time being. So that's what I did last week. This week, over the weekend, and I mean, thank you to my wife and to my daughter. I don't usually turn off this coding, man. I really enjoy it. So, this weekend, what I was working on was building arrays. So I didn't know how to make arrays. It's something that I always kind of see in other functions and formulas that are already created by TradeStation, and I see it and I'm just like, okay, I'll get to that later. So this past weekend was later, so I created a couple of arrays. Still learning a lot about it. I only made 2 or 3, and the first time it took me like 4 hours. Well, I made something, a part of the strategy that I created incorporated another component which referenced days back and that kind of thing. And so in trying to add my array, I thought the array wasn't working, but turns out it was this other component that wasn't working. So I spent like 4 or 5 hours trying to make it work, changing settings, and it didn't work. And so I ended up just kind of slowing it down, took everything off, incorporated one thing at a time back into the strategy, and I found out that it was my array was fine, that it was this other thing. So I may look at an array here just a little bit, but I probably won't even bring it back into the equation with you guys until I am pretty solid on it. So the one thing I do want to look at today is, and I don't know that I'm going to share all of my, because I'm spending a little bit more time making these studies, and they're getting more complex, and so it's not, I don't want to say a piece of cake, but it's not, this is getting out of the like free stuff, the fun stuff for you. I still want to do some of the free fun stuff with you, but this is the stuff that I want to see you guys over on the Discord. I want to see you participating on the Discord, asking for, asking me to make specific strategies, or to try this or try that. I want to see more feedback, more participation as I'm getting into like the more complex stuff, which is where I'm headed now, right? I mean, I've spent 200-300 hours on coding now, and you know, you know, free? I don't know. All right, so during the maturation, during the progression of my coding, I'm realizing that, like I said, I'll look at this. Let's pull up a chart. I'll look at the chart and I'll see this area here. So, looking at these pullbacks, these low points, great areas to get in here. And I'll say, all right, well, let's make a code to get in there. And I can make the code to get in there, and I can, obviously backtest it on this day, and it'll look great, right? So the code will look great. It'll have a high probability of success. The problem is, and so what I was planning on doing was making a code for every day for my, for my top stocks, tech stocks, right? So NVDA, Microsoft, Google, Alphabet, Tesla, all those, just making either something on the 1 minute or making something on the 5 minute, making something on the 15-second. And I was just going to kind of catalog all those. And then I was going to look at them in the spreadsheet and see on what days they perform best. So I was going to do all that. I think that was actually a lot bigger project, but it allowed me to get the reps to actually making these strategies. And so now I've got the reps in. So now I've been making a lot of strategies. And so now what I've realized that is very important to do is to back test, right? So instead of just applying my strategy to this one day, I got to back test. I got to back test it back 5, 10. This morning, the one that I did it on 100 days, right? So, and it's profitable on 100 days. So, and not only the back testing piece, but also last week, really incorporated not just the strategy performance report, which tells you how it performs, but then running the strategy optimization report, which really optimizes, lets you get the maximum stop loss possible, makes you get the maximum take profit possible, and not leave anything on the table. But it stretches back as many days as you want to backtest. It stretches back as far as you want, so that, again, it's optimization. It's finding the best fit, right? So you might be able to take 2R on this day, 1R on this day, 1.5R on this day, and so what it'll end up doing is printing out that you want to be at 1.5R, right? Or it might say, depending on how many times 1.5R hits, it might pull you back down to like 1.25R, so that you get the most wins and you get the most profit. It's math, it's statistics. I let the computer do its job, right? But I put together these strategies. So the first thing I'm going to look at today is, let's see. Let's turn on, let's go ahead and get the easy language loaded up. And then I'm just going to show you the performance report that I got when I made this specific strategy here. And I'll probably have it closed down. Let's see. Where are we at? Okay. So, and again, well, I guess I can show it to you, because the formulas that I have in here, you're not going to know what all the formulas are anyway. You're not going to be able to duplicate this without my help, right? So, I'll show it to you. This is 8/14. So this was, I made it on Tesla on the 1 minute chart. Like I said, I went back 100 days. And we're going to open this up here once the computer decides to participate. Alright, so 1 minute chart is this guy here. Alright, you can't see what I'm looking at, but I just opened it up. Alright, so part of my, make sure that you can see it. All right, so this is what I came up with for the strategy for this morning. And again, you know, without you having all the specific functions and formulas that creates this number here, this having all that, then you know you can't recreate my formula, my strategy. But I'm willing to share it. I just we've got to get to know each other, you know, as I share it. So, all right. So the first one, the condition is that the open is greater than the VWAP, right? So, like I said, this doesn't necessarily apply. Let's apply it to the chart and show you where it's at as I talk about it, and then we'll go back and we'll look at the like the strategy performance report. So this is the show me here. This is the one I created, and I think this chart is already back 100 days. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. Just calculating the studies and or strategies. Got it? You got it. All right. All right, there we go. As you know, with me doing more programming and higher intensity requests of my computer, I know that it's not holding up as good as it could. Well, I don't want to say as good as it could, but I could ask more of it. And then so it turns out, as I'm looking at the specs this morning, as it turns out, I have 8 gigabytes of RAM on this thing. I mean, it's a nice computer, but it's dated. It's about 8 years old or so. It's a Lenovo. It's done very well for me, but I didn't even know how much RAM this thing had on it. But it's got 8 gigabytes of RAM, and you know everything I see says it probably needs 16. But as I look for my newest computer, I'll be looking for 32. So maybe I'll be overdoing it. Like I said, this computer right now, it does fair, but it's really lagging. It's really having a hard time. So first one, like I said, is condition 1 is that the open is going to be greater than the volume weighted average price. This blue line here is the volume weighted average price, so the open is above that. And then the open is above the 200 simple moving average. The open, these candles are above this red line, which is a 200 period moving average. And then the volume of this line here is the 6 period volume. This blue line here is the 50 period average of the volume. So we're just saying that the 6 is less than the 50. So if you see here where that yellow line is, we come straight down. The yellow circle comes straight down. The yellow line is under the blue line, so the 6 period of the volume is less than the 50 period of the volume. And then the fourth one is saying that the mid bar, so the middle of the bar is lower than the low of the bar before it. So we got a candle here. I don't know if you're left or right for me, but we have a candle here, we have a candle here. We're just saying that the middle of the bar is lower than the bar before it. So this bar here, we want our entry candle to be a little bit lower. We don't want it to be this lower. We want it to be about here, so that the middle of the bar is at least lower than this prior low. All right, and that the bottom wick. So there is a function I've created that uses a relationship of the wick. The bottom part of the wick has got to be at least greater than 2 times the length of the body, and that should be the candle before it. No, it's not. Just whatever the width, whatever the thickness of the body is, multiply that times 2, and the bottom wick should be at least greater than that. So then the bottom wick should be, if the body is this big, then the bottom wick has to be at least this big, kind of a thing. All right, and then we're just saying that the low has to be lower than the low before it, which that would have to be true because the mid bar is lower than the low before it. And then we're saying that the open is lower than the 9-period moving average, and the 9-period moving average is lower than 15-period moving average, and then we got this guy here. So we're looking for a swing high, and this one I made this morning. And again, as I'm making them and I'm trying to put it together in my head, I should probably jot it down or sketch it out or something like that. I didn't. I came up with what I was looking for, but it could probably be narrowed down even better. All right, so what I did here on value 3 is I took a swing high, and what I'm looking at are the highs. I'm looking that it has at least 10 bars on either side, 10 bars on both sides, right? And then I'm using a look back period of 20 bars. All right, and then I'm taking that. Let's see, value 3. You know what? I ultimately didn't even do anything with that. I went down and I changed it up because I was going to use that. Yes, I did. Yes, I did, right here at value 3. If value 3 is met, if we found a swing high that has at least 10 bars on each side, right, then we're going to start our counter. We're going to start our counter. We're going to start counting. So the counter is already at 0, so it's going to start. Then it's going to go to 1, and it's going to go so forth and so forth and so on. And then at the end of that, we're going to say that if value 3 is -1, so if we didn't find a swing high, then the counter just stays at 0. All right, but if we did find a swing high and it's still populating that swing high, then our counter starts. And now we're going to use this counter amount, that counter value, we're going to use it up here in our value 4. Okay, so we're looking for the occurrence of volume being greater than volume 50. And you know what? In actuality, I think I wanted that to be 2 times greater. Now, I can change this strategy right now, and it probably screw up everything I put together. All right, but I am curious about changing that. So, yeah. So what I was looking for is specifically, in layman's terms, in words, in a word format instead of candles. What I was looking for is if we have a swing high, and then within 10 bars on either side of that swing high, we have a large volume candle. And like I said, I wanted it to be like maybe 2 times larger. But you see this blue line? That's the volume 50. You see this candle here? It's a nice high volume. We want to acknowledge that somewhere within this swing high, we got this high volume candle over top of the 50-period moving average. That's all we're saying. Okay? And so if we got that, then we'll get a population for value 4. Now we come down and we see value 4 is saying, okay, now value 4 is saying how many bars ago that happened, right? So once we get this bar here, now this is going to tell us, because we're using the counter, this is going to tell us how many bars ago it happened. Okay. And now that value 4 is how many bars ago this happened, we're going to say, well, if at that bar right here where this happened, if at that bar, we're going to take the low of that bar. Okay, we're going to take the low of that bar. And if our current low is higher than that, then condition 10 is true. So this bar here of question would be this vertical line here. This vertical, see where that bar is? It'd be this vertical line here. That bar in question. Let me zoom in a little bit. Yep, too much. Yep, too up. Wait, up. Where'd you go? Ah, lost it. All right, go back out. Come back in. But I mean, technically we could do it on any bar, any place where we got an entry, because they all should apply. However, I did want to do it on the place where we were at. That it? That's not it. Look at all these take profits at these good locations. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. It was profitable. I mean, it didn't make you rich overnight or anything like that, but it was definitely a profitable strategy. All right. And the more that I play with this platform, the better I get at it, the quicker I get at it. So, I mean, it just is what it is. All right, so we just picked another area, right? All right, so we're going to say, all right, so now we're saying either one of these bars. Okay, so here's our swing high that we were talking about, and then now we're talking about one of these bars. Okay, I think we're going to have to use, which bar? Whichever one is the most recent occurrence. This one? I think we got to use that one. But that's the thing. So there's most recent occurrence, and then there's least recent occurrence. But it looks to me like they pretty much code for the same thing. So I've got to find that out to be precise. But so essentially, and I don't, like I said, I don't know which bar it's referencing. If it's referencing this bar, or this bar, because all three of these bars, or even this bar. All three of these bars are over the 50 period average for volume. But essentially what I was looking for is that once we find one of these bars, and it's supposed to be the most recent one that this happened, the volume over V50, so it should be this bar. It should be referencing this bar, but then that doesn't look right. Because it would be saying that the low is greater than the low of that bar. And it's saying that, so it would be saying that this low is greater than the low of this bar, which is not true. So it must be referencing like this bar or this bar. Yeah. Let's try, because there's LRO, which is least recent occurrence, and then there's MRO, which is most recent occurrence. And if I just change that and then re-verify it, yeah, it looks like it gives me the same results. So yeah, I've got to figure out exactly. Nope, here it goes. Okay, the verification process is slow. And because I'm back testing 100 days, it's taking a while. to mention, about to shut down. Okay, so it took that away. So again, maybe MRO is referencing, and that was my understanding initially anyway, is that MRO, if you're looking at a well, it should if it was my understanding that MRO is most recent occurrence. So if you're looking at a 10 bar period, then it's going to start from the most recent time and work its way to the oldest time. And then for LRO would be last, or it says least recent occurrence, but it was my understanding that it would start back here and work its way this way. But in looking at the definitions and everything today, it looks like they pretty much say the same thing. So I've got to talk to somebody who's understands more about this than I do. Because if this was least recent occurrence, and no, that's most recent occurrence. Okay, well then that might be true then, right? Because if it was most recent occurrence, then like I said, this one would be the one it would be referencing. And I think I do want least or last recent occurrence anyway, because as the bars are coming up, if it gets a real high volume bar, that's letting you know that it's meeting resistance anyway. So it's time for it to pull back, and that's probably the area where it needs to come back to in order for it to move back up. So I think I got what I want. Gosh, man, if it didn't take so long, I would change the strategy. So if it was most recent occurrence, then would it be this one, or would it be this one back here? Most recent occurrence of volume over 50 over counter 1 plus 20 over that length. So it would, I think it would be referencing this one here, this bar here. And this here, the high, I think the high is greater than the, let's just put if the high is less than the mid bar. And here I go changing up my whole thing just to, and I'm gonna mess around and get it so I can't so I lose my good strategy here. Alright, so let's do begin condition 10. Low is greater than the low of value 4. We're going to do that the low is greater than the low of value 4, and that did not compute this time. Let's put low is less than the value. So I changed two things, so I'll make sure I change those things back. Change two things, change the condition. I changed this one to, I need to change it back to greater than, and then for this one, I need to change it back to LRO. Okay, so let's see what this is doing. Let's see if we get our dot back. If we get our dot back, then the most recent occurrence is referencing the most recent one back, and then the least recent occurrence would certainly be looking at time span and starting backwards and moving forward, which is, like I said, my understanding. Yep, bingo. So we got it. So that's what it is. All right, so we're going to change this back to, because again, you know, in another study we may say, okay, we want to check this bar. And actually in stuff that in chart analysis I've looked at time and time again, I do see that if this chart is moving down and you got this high bear here, that you are cool to move up if your chart passes this high bear. So I would definitely make a strategy with that most recent occurrence, with the price passing that most recent occurrence. I sure will. But for right now, we're going to put least recent occurrence, we'll go back, and then we'll change this back to greater than, because this is the function that the strategy that I put together earlier, and then I'm just going to review with you the results of it, and then I'll get out of here because my computer is about, I mean, it's just getting real hot, you know. Okay, so once this verifies, we're going to add this strategy to it, and then we'll look at this strategy performance report. I'll share that with you, and then we'll talk about the arrays later, because, man, yeah. And then I'll do a quick little short on the process. All right, so and actually we already have the strategy in place, because you see that we're already buying and taking profit and all that kind of stuff. And it didn't take a lot of profit. Good gracious, that's a short amount of profit, but that's what the strategy optimization report says. So, all right, let's go to the strategy performance report. Now this looks different than what I had before, because this is a little bit more money. And all these are going straight up. Let's see. Let me see if I can share that with you. Strategy. What is it? Settings, strategy. Strategy. All right, there we go. All right, I'm not sure what this is. Turn that off. Okay, so this is the strategy performance report. This is the visual representation of the equity curve. You can see that moving straight up there. Very nice. However, I thought that, because the chart is going on, it must have made another trade today, because I only had like 493 or 590. It was $493. And then now, after sitting here chatting with you guys, now it's gone up. No, it didn't take another trade, so, Alright, but that looks good though, right? I mean, come on, you know? Come on! Alright, so if we look at the trade analysis, or more simply, let's look at the periodical return. It just gives it right to you. $542, 92% profitable, 28 trades. That doesn't sound right. That's highly, I mean, highly profitable. 92% profitable over 28 trades. That's great. But that's not. Let's see what the settings are on this. Because as I closed this earlier, it was not quite this profitable. 0.105 and 0.3. That is what I had. If you go over here to the easy language, I should have put it back in here. Okay, let's open up the strategy. And is it 0.05 and 0.13? Strategy. Man, I was hoping for something like this, but I didn't think that that's where I'd gotten to. All right, so 0.105 and 0.3. Take profit 0.105, 0.3 on the, yeah. I don't know why it's, let me see. Since I closed the chart, let me check the max bars back. Make sure the max bars back are referencing the same thing. If the max bars back reference different numbers, then the results will be different every time. All right, so the max bars back is 201. All right, and then the max bars back for my strategy will be my study will be 201 as well. So this is the actual one. Good job. Yes, this is the accurate results. I printed out what I did earlier, so let me see. Handy dandy folder, logging everything, all my studies, the results, printing out the script and the performance of it, and the settings. So why is it 0.105? Yep. Disabled. 321 to. Where are we at here? And it may be because since time is moving forward, that's probably what it is. Since time is moving forward, and I'm only referencing how many 100 days or so. Let's see, 321.23 at 9:30 to end time 8:14 at 10:59. 8:14 at 10:59 a.m. See, this one goes back to 9 a.m. But the one that I have on the screen, like I said, I could see if it took another trade and got a little bit more profit, but it didn't. So I'm not seeing that would add to the curve. Max bar is back 201, 65,000. Ah, that's the difference. That's the difference. When I close the chart and open it back up, the max shares contracts per position on the one that I made here was 100,000. The one that we're looking at together is 65,000. However, it's not even trading that many shares, is it? No, we didn't see 100,000 shares being traded on there. Oh, and then that's the other thing I need to change. Yeah, it's doing 100. That's the other thing I need to change on here is the amount, right? Because right now it's limited. It's rounding the share size to 100, which I don't need to round it to 100. I actually want to, and two other things. So it shouldn't affect the profitability, the win rate, but I want to change it to a $50,000 account because that's more realistically what I would do. A $50,000 account, and I want to change it to not rounding the share size by 100. Because right now, if it goes like, if it can take 140 shares, it's going to round it down to 100. If it can take 170 shares, it's going to round it up to 200 if you have the capitalization make that happen, which, you know, may or may not. But I don't want to do it that way. I just want every trade to be roughly $35,000 instead of capping the or adjusting the share size based on adjusting the position size based on share size. I want to adjust the position size based on position amount. Yeah, started it and ended it at the same times for the most part. 8:14, 10:50. So all that's the same. And then let me look at the. Like I said, I changed that one piece of. You know what? Even though I changed it, I was only changing the show me anyway. I wasn't changing the strategy. All right, so here we're looking at the strategy, and I didn't change the strategy, so that's a moot point. And then if we look at the performance. Camera. How is this that long? Ah. Alright, so I am trying to, there we go, shorten this screen so I can get to the bottom so I can look at the performance summary because something is off. Alright, so performance summary of the one that I have printed out, it's $438, profit factor 209, this profit factor 607. percent profitable. The one I printed out was 39%. This one is 92%. I mean, that's another clap. God, that's another clap. That's good. All right. How many trades did it take? This one took 28 trades. This one took 28 trades. Maximum consecutive winning trades, 26 here, 2 here. And I'm thinking probably what it was is I didn't rerun this strategy performance report after making the adjustments to the yeah, I sure didn't. I sure didn't, because I ran the strategy optimization and then I applied the new settings, the inputs to the chart, but I didn't hit a refresh, and so that refresh gave me these better numbers, gave me these better percent profitable. Oh man, I am happy. I am going to take a break. I am going to take a break. This is great. I thought I was putting together a great strategy, and when it came back 39% profitable, I was like, yeah, well, okay, but it's still profitable, so that's what I want to see. But 92% profitable. I mean, I can't. Yo, that's why I'm not giving you all the code. Okay. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna pretty much just end this where it's at, because why go any further? And if you hadn't subscribed at this point, then I ain't got a lot to say about you, you know. So anyway, I'll chat with you guys later. I do appreciate you for hanging out with me. We will go through some more of this logic and that kind of stuff on subsequent videos. And like I said, as the subscriber group grows, I will be doing more of these live. Namely because I'm not going to get a newer, higher, faster computer until I mean, what I'm doing, I can do by myself. I can do alone. But in order to do it with you guys, I have to run this streaming software. And the streaming software is taking so much from the computer's processing. And so I can't do it all at one time. So I can't share it with you like I want to with my current setup. And I'm not going to upgrade my setup just yet for, you know, 3 people to hang out with me on a live, right? But as the group grows, I get the newer computer, we'll do things together, we'll share it, we'll whatever. But in the meantime, just know how happy I am for me. Yeah. All right. Anyway, chat with you later. I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.